The hour of 8:30 has arrived, so I'm calling this meeting to order. If I could have a roll call, please. Let me make sure everybody's got an agenda. Roll call.
Chair Sheila Rutledge.
Here.
Vice Chair Sabah Heather.
Here.
Member Cindy Cahill.
Here.
Member Lucy Evans. Here. Member Andrew Honig.
Here.
Member Lynn LaPlante.
Here. Thank you. No remarks this morning. We have a couple public comments and a lot of content. So speaking of going right to public comment, Jacqueline. Hold on.
Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Casaza, and I'm the president and co-founder of Go Green Glen Ellen, which is an environmental nonprofit with a mission to help Glen Ellen residents and businesses be greener. I'm also an advocate for reducing plastic pollution and single-use plastic waste and present frequently to groups regarding this issue. In fact, I've come before this committee before, as well as the county board, to share my concerns with single-use plastic, not only as an advocate, but as a parent and DuPage County resident. While the concerns with single-use plastic are many, my chief concern is the potential health impact. We know that plastic is made from fossil fuels and chemical additives. We know that many of these chemical additives are carcinogens and endocrine disruptors. And we know that these chemicals can leach into our food web and into our bodies. While the degree and severity of the health risks from plastic are still being researched, we know that microplastics are being found in our bodies, including our hearts, lungs, blood, and brains. I understand that it is not possible to live in a world completely without plastic. However, we can reduce our reliance on this material and therefore our risk by beginning to reduce some of the single-use conveniences for which there are existing alternatives. I understand the county is considering eliminating single-use plastic water bottles and its vending machines. I would strongly support this. One, a study released last year found that the microplastics on average in a liter of bottled water included about 240,000 tiny pieces of plastics, and about 90% of these were nanoplastics, which are very, very tiny. You can't see with the naked eye. Regardless of what the county does, I would recommend that everyone stops drinking out of single-use plastic water bottles. Second, studies indicate that the amount of energy required to produce bottled water, including manufacturing, bottling, sealing, transport, et cetera, is about 2,000 times that of producing tap water. And consider that many of these processes also rely on fossil fuels, like creating the bottles themselves, which are made out of fossil fuels, transporting them. Things that we're trying to reduce our consumption, of course, of fossil fuels. And then finally, there are numerous alternatives that exist. Bottle fillers are commonly installed at places like schools, parks, and airports. They're simple to use, familiar to many, and convenient. If single use is still a necessity, the county could offer single-use aluminum bottles, though I would encourage the county to make sure that recycling exists for those materials, if that is the case. Go Green Glen Ellen would strongly support the leadership actions taken by this committee and the board to reduce single-use plastics at the county level. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Next is Wendy Vernon.
So good morning. My name is Wendy Vernon, and I live in Carroll Stream, and I'm the plastic reduction chair of the for the River Prairie Group Sierra Club. I'm here to support eliminating plastic bottles from vending machines and the cafeteria in DuPage County government buildings. Single-use plastic production is growing exponentially, and so are the problems it creates. We all see plastic litter scattered along roadsides, tangled in bushes, and in our waterways. But plastic pollution is more than an eyesore. It's also a climate, health, environmental justice, and economic problem. Most plastics are made from fossil fuels, and their entire life cycle, from extraction to disposal, emits carbon dioxide and toxic pollutants. Unlike natural materials, plastic does not biodegrade, but instead breaks down into microplastics, which are now contaminating our water, air, soil, and food. A growing number of studies have detected them in human bodies. Exposure to microplastics and plastic chemicals have been linked to infertility, cancer, diabetes, obesity, asthma, heart disease, and neurological disorders. The burden of plastic pollution is not shared equally. Communities near plastic production and disposal sites suffer higher rates of these health conditions due to air and water contamination, an environmental justice issue that cannot be ignored. While plastic may seem cheap, its hidden costs, waste management, environmental damage, healthcare expenses are enormous. A study in the Journal of the Endocrine Society estimates that chemicals and plastics contribute to $250 billion dollars in the US healthcare costs annually. Recycling has not solved this problem. Unlike glass, metal, or paper, plastic is difficult and inefficient to recycle, with less than 6% being recycled in the US. Plastic recycling itself releases harmful chemicals and pollution. The real solution is reducing our reliance on single-use plastics. So it's time for meaningful action to address the single-use plastic crisis, and local government must lead by example. DuPage County has the opportunity to demonstrate sustainability leadership by removing plastic bottles, an impactful step towards reducing unnecessary plastic waste. Replacing plastic bottles with a more sustainable alternative will set an example for businesses and institutions while contributing to a cleaner, healthier, and more responsible future for our community. Thank you.
And I kind of heard a whisper that the other people wanted to put in public comment. You can go ahead and submit those electronically. We'll make sure they get added to the record. Next on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the Tuesday, February
So moved.
4th, 25 meeting, 25554. I hear a first, a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
No corrections, deletions, additions. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. None opposed? That motion carries. Next is the discussion about the dining services plastics alternative. Thank you for coming over
No
this
problem.
morning.
Good morning. I'm Diane Borski, Manager of Support Services from the Care Center. So today, before we get into the plastic bottle discussion, I just want to make sure the committee is aware of all the things that we have done over the years to reduce plastics and become more earth friendly. I don't know if I use all the right terms, so apologize if I say something wrong. So if you want to go to the first slide, thank you. So prior to 2023, we switched from our plastic cups to a bio-based compostable cup for our yogurts, puddings, fruit cups, things that we serve in the cafeterias that would go into a cup like that. We also switched from unbleached napkins, switched to unbleached napkins. And we've provided a refillable thermos for coffee creamer to lower the use of the small individual creamers. And we also piloted paper bags and paper plates, but that was not very successful because most of our customers do leave our cafe, take their lunch back to their office. Very few eat in our cafeteria. So we also offer it's about a 15% discount if you bring your own refillable cup to prevent the use of any disposable cups that we offer. A couple other things too that we do at the Care Center, all of our most of our canned goods that come in the large cans, we do recycle those. And we even recycle our food scraps that go to animal services. We help feed their smaller critter animals like guinea pigs, rabbits, and yeah. So we've been saving that and sending them over. Okay, as far as 2023 and 2024, we eliminated the foam cups. We changed them over to paper cups for coffee, for fountain drinks. We also eliminated the foam clamshell to a recyclable plastic container. Those changes resulted in the Care Center absorbing $50,000 a year in additional expenses. And as far as other things, the plastic straws, we switched to a biodegradable straw, and I can't remember exactly how long, but they do degrade pretty quickly. I can't remember.
3 months.
3 months, thank you. So I know they break down pretty quickly. As far as plastic soda bottles, we're trialing that in 421 right now in the cafeteria. We switched everything that is possible to switch to aluminum cans. We do have a few smaller, not as popular items like juices for breakfast time that we cannot get in cans. As far as bottled water, we switched to aluminum cans at 421 right now as another trial. Over the month of February, we served 5. So aluminum cans really aren't real popular with our customers for water right now. It's also a smaller container rather than a
20 ounce.
20 ounce. The aluminum cans are down to 12 ounces.
12 ounce.
And as far as canned soda or the vending machines, we did add canned soda vending machines. They're about a 50-50 balance between our sales. So we don't see, we don't see a huge jump to the cans or bottles. It's about 50-50. There was something else I was gonna say about the bottled water and I don't remember. It'll come to me later, I'm sure. The next thing that we're working on right now is to eliminate all the single-use condiment packages. So you'll be seeing that the ketchup will go to not quite that bottle, but it'll be a stainless steel bottle or container that with a pump for ketchup. The other, like mustard and mayonnaise, will be a squeeze bottle. There are some things that we're gonna have to keep the small packages just because we just don't have the volume. We'll be wasting a lot if we try to put in a squeeze bottle or something like that, like the relish, barbecue sauce, hot sauce. So we're gonna have to keep a few of the small packages for now just to prevent waste. So that's what's coming. Okay, so getting to the plastic bottles. So how is it gonna affect us? There's a few things. Our vending contract, if we switch all to aluminum cans, they've already said that they may not renew, or they're gonna have to look at modify our commission structure. In 2020, we had only two vendors that bid on our vending for the whole campus and all county buildings off campus. In 2024, we had one company, and they did come in very aggressive with a great commission structure. Unfortunately, they've already said they know that if we switched all cans, it is gonna decrease our sales. So that's why they're gonna have to look at modifying our commission structure. Or they may pull out. So we'll see. Yeah, the contract was due to renew in February, but we gave them a 30-day extension because they weren't willing to renew until they hear what the county determines that they want to do. Yeah. As far as the cafeterias go, so I already talked about how we are doing the trials in 421, all can soda, all can water. The comments we get, they don't care about the plastics in the bottles. They don't care. They want their bottles back. So it puts us in a tough situation because we're trying to serve our customers and meet the customer needs as well as also be earth friendly, and also healthier for them. So it puts us in a really tough situation. So as far as the canned water, like I said, in February, we sold 5 cans. So that is like an 81% decrease in and that's just 421. We haven't even touched on 505 yet, which is our bigger, busier cafeteria. So, I mean, through it all, yes, I'm just as surprised as you are that they're not showing as much of an interest. I mean, drinking water out of a can is kind of weird to me, but I think the aluminum bottle may be a little more acceptable. The problem is with all of these, if we go to aluminum bottle, the prices do jump up drastically, which means we're gonna have to charge a whole lot more for the water, which means in turn, they're just not gonna buy it. They're not gonna spend $3.50 a bottle on an aluminum bottle of water. So in the end, really how this really does affect us, we know our sales are gonna go down in the cafeterias. What they've done, if they want a bottled water, they've been going to the vending machines that still have the bottled water. They won't buy it from us. They just go to the vending machines with the bottled water. So, but in the end, I don't know if all of you know this, but all of our revenue from the care center, for the cafeterias and vending go back to the care center to support our residents for different activities. The majority of our building are Medicaid recipients, reimbursement, we won't even get into all that. But with the reduction in sales, it is going to affect our residents directly. So that's my concern. I work in the care center. We're there every day. So again, we're in the tough situation where we're trying to make sure our residents have everything that they need on a daily basis as far as activities go, different outings that they get to go on. I have customers that are complaining that they want, the plastic bottles back. And so it puts us in a tough situation. So what we're looking for is some direction here from all of you. Let us know what we need to do, what we should be doing going forward. And then go from there and see what happens.
Thank you,
Questions?
Diane. I think Greg, I think your hand went up first. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Sure.
Do you know off the top of your head what kind of revenue you make off of this for the care center?
The, vending,
Yes.
Just to see if the structure of the vending company, just to come in, on the first year, they were just gonna give the care center 5,500 plus the, it's 29% of the sales. And it depends what the revenue, I believe last year they were close to 100,000, so 27%.
20% of 100,000?
Yeah.
So plus the 5,500, so.
Yeah, yes.
and every year it
Every
goes
year
up.
goes
They
up.
structured it to go up, so our percentage goes up and our flat check goes up too. Where we really have the biggest revenue is our cafeterias.
Okay, and then one more question.
Yeah.
With the care center itself, what are the disadvantages of using cans versus water, plastics?
There's a lot of, there's safety concerns with residents. A lot of our residents, now that our cafeteria is open, thankfully, it's been closed since since COVID hit, but we finally were able to open it again. But before that, they only had the vending machines to choose from. I know you can imagine, so I oversee housekeeping, I oversee laundry, and I oversee dining. So we do have almost a full staff now in all three departments, but I definitely don't have enough staff and housekeeping to run around mopping the floor for the spills from the cans. It's a big concern because they roll around in their wheelchair, they're walking with their walker with a little cup holder. The cans, if they have it open, it's gonna spill. Now, from a nutrition side, I'm gonna say, I don't want them drinking a whole can, because if they let it sit, it's gonna get flat. I don't want them drinking a whole can, it fills them up, they don't eat, so that's the nutrition side of it. But the bottles are better for our residents because of the spills, because they can put it in the refrigerator, they can hold it longer. The other problem too is with our staff, our nursing staff, taking it back to the nurses station. COVID's changed everyone's thinking. Right now, we're in outbreak for COVID. We also have another coronavirus. I can't remember the number. It's like LD 53 or 63, something like that. So that's going through the building. We just got through norovirus. It's very tough for me to tell nursing that they have to take an open can back to the nurses station and work with a can there. The twist top bottles are always better. Also spilling in at the nurses station, it's another issue. But really for the residents, even drinking out of a can, some of them, it's a safety issue for cutting their mouth, their hands.
Point
whatever it
made,
may be.
Diane.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move along. We got a lot
Yeah,
on the
no, it's
agenda
okay.
here.
Thank you.
Sabai, you were next.
Thank you, Chair. Dan, thank you for your presentation, and I know that it's a lot more work for you, and thank you for working so hard to be so adaptable to the requests that we are making. You mentioned $100,000. How many of them are actually from the water bottles that are being sold? How
That
many?
I would have to get more details from the vending company. It's hard for them to, they can give us estimates, but so we would have to just get that
Yeah,
from the
because
vending.
when we look at the number of cans we have sold in the month of February, and that's 5. But if we don't know in comparison to how many water bottles have been sold in January or December or the months before that, then we don't have that comparative number to decide if that's the right direction. And I think what we are trying to do here is a more cultural shift, and a cultural shift takes time. It takes effort, it requires a lot of effort. It's never easy, it's never instant. And so it's important for us to see what those numbers look like in comparison to cans. How many water bottles are we selling every month, and what that revenue looks like in terms of dollar amount. Do we have refillable water dispensers to fill?
Yes.
Okay, so I think a campaign towards encouraging people to refill their water bottles, to bring in their cups, bring in their water bottles, would go a long way in accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sabai. Member Kagan.
Thank you. So the two sources of potential loss of revenue are the vending machine percentage. What about the cafeteria decline?
Cafeteria too.
So when you say cafeteria, is it just the care center? It's this cafeteria too?
All of our,
All cafeteria?
yeah, right now
So-
we're just trialing all cans and just 421. It
Right.
is a big process to make that switch,
So do we have any idea what that decline in revenue is going to be from all the
You
cafeterias?
know, I've
But
even
we-
asked vending what, and they said they've never gone through this. So I've asked our vending company if they can project what they think the decrease in sales would be. As far as
She did-
cafeteria, we'd have to just
You
monitor
did say 81% decrease
in water.
in water. Okay, so in water bottles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, in cafeterias, it was cafeterias. Bottles and cans have been about 50-50. But the cans sell for a much lower price because they're a little cheaper than the bottles, but, so
Yes,
that's how it
I
affects our
would have to
sales.
say, in reviewing this, in my personal opinion, we can't afford a reduction in revenue affecting this care center. That's critical. And people don't want to do this. I mean, I think we can offer options and we can try to have refillable stations, but we can also maybe each person at the care center, can we give them a cup like this, you know, with their name on it or something? But I also understand that there's a sanitary issue too, because people are sick, they're not washing it enough. So after hearing your presentation, my inclination is to not go to the plastic, to removal of all plastic bottles.
Thank you, Member Cahill, Member Evans.
Thank you, Chair. My whole point for this initiative really was not to affect the care center. So I don't see why we need to remove plastic from the care center. I know people are kind of entrenched and I wouldn't want to, number one, make it more work for anybody at the care center or make life more difficult for anyone who lives at the care center. My concern was what we're selling in our cafeterias and in our vending machines. And I am very concerned that nobody will bid on this if we don't include plastic bottles. That sounds like a big corporate plastic type of.
Well, I think part of it too is that it's a big contract. We have probably over 50 machines scattered throughout, so it's
Really,
not.
50?
I mean, between snacks and beverage, I mean,
On just this campus? like-
no, in all of our county buildings.
Okay, so that.
So that can be
includes-
Darien, Woodridge, I mean,
Okay.
it's OEM,
It's one
it's all over.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so I wasn't sure if there were just the buildings.
Yeah, so I think it's just the scope of it all. It's a big contract and it's scattered
I
throughout,
thought it was
so.
only gonna be like 10 machines.
Yeah,
but it's like- Okay, but, you know, that's really tough because, you know, we can't do it. I was thinking, oh, maybe we can do it in-house and just buy the cans and stock
We used to.
ourselves with. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It
we used to
that way.
do our own vending, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this discussion. If you can get us some of the numbers that the
Sure.
members have asked for, to be continued, I guess.
Okay.
Next on our agenda is a presentation by Skips.
Morning,
Good morning.
thank you. So this is kind of since November, all right? We were gonna do it last month and things got crazy. So just so you know, the numbers, it's the most sites we've had in DuPage County for the pumpkin smashes. And it's the highest number of tons. So it was really great to have 3 locations in Naperville. It really blew up this year. And we're really grateful for the Weather Channel and different things that have helped us really reduce methane gas, capture the water, reduce what we send to a landfill. And more scout groups and so forth are taking this on as kind of a community service project. So it's really, we're very excited about 2025 this year. But last year, there were 2 dates and that made it much more complicated. And so this year there'll just be 1 date. So we're glad about that. Next slide. So the vegetable cooking oil, we're really glad, as I said, I think you might have heard, we're glad that Itasca is now 5 days a week. And the pop-up locations, we did over 200 gallons of cooking oil just on that Saturday morning, just in the sites that let us know. So we don't hear from the Naperville Hazardous Waste site how many, or Downers Grove, just those 4 sites was over 200 gallons. So that's really a great turnout. Next slide. We made this map. We work really hard. This is a big county, you guys. And so trying to make sure that we have something that's local, close for people to be able to participate in the pumpkin smash or in the cooking oil. You can see the yellow bottles of cooking oil kind of in the center there between Wheaton and Glen Ellen and so forth. So we're really wanting to get up in that Bartlett. Roselle did the cooking oil as a pop-up, but we'd really like to get up in that northwest corner more for cooking oil collections up there. And then further south down in the Burr Ridge, Darien area we'd like. So we think, you guys, all the time about this, how big this county is and making it accessible to people, making it easy. So go ahead. Holiday lights, we had great collections around the county, everywhere. And these are kids from Maywat School in Naperville. Their school actually did a huge collection. The kids did the posters and they did the PA announcements and it went out in their parent newsletter. So I was really glad to have the kids involved in that collection. Go ahead. So these are the numbers for just what we recycle at Scarce, not any of the events that we go to, but what we recycle by weights at Scarce and water and the trees saved and so forth. So over 500,000 pounds of paper, cardboard and books in 2024. So that's a huge number. And now we have a company now, Capital Metals, that tells us how many pounds of scrap metal we get recycled. So almost 5,000 pounds. So it's really great to be able to have the numbers. And we're glad to be able to share those numbers with you just for 2024. Go ahead. So the books, we have found more outlets for our books, you guys. So we're actually recycling fewer books and getting more books out to be reused, whether it's in jails or food pantries or the literacy at the laundromat. And of course, what schools and literacy projects take and volunteers for literacy projects. So we're grateful to have more outlets so the books have a better place to be rather than recycled. So we're grateful. Go ahead. So a lot of programs, you guys, November and December, right, is a lot of holiday months. And so 89 programs, that was a lot of programs to give in that time period and over 1,200 people. All kinds of programs from energy conservation to composting to the 3 Rs to figuring out ways to declutter by not sending everything to a landfill. Go ahead. Medina, their school, this is the first time they've had a STEM night, and we were really glad to be invited. It was a bad weather night, imagine that. But we were glad to have 80 kids and parents participate in paper making and energy conservation projects. Go ahead. The repair fair, this was our largest, 90 people attended. We did not have bad weather on January 25th. 190 items repaired or sharpened in 3.5 hours. It was rather remarkable. This is the first time we had somebody who came to sew for us and the first time we had people doing regular appliances. So we were grateful for all the volunteers who helped with that project. And we're looking forward to May 3rd, where we'll be doing knife sharpening, kitchen knives, scissors, garden tools sharpening on May 3rd. Go ahead. So we had a meeting with the sustainability specialist. So Naperville and Downers Grove in our county have sustainability directors. And we've been working now since a year ago with other communities and Addison and so forth that's working towards this position. And we're able to have 14 representatives from sustainability towns or towns that have sustainability directives. And we met for 2 hours. It was very special for them to be able to talk to each other and find out what else we could all participate in. Go ahead. Green Your Gig, there's Lucy. So Lucy had a party for her volunteers who helped with her campaign. And I think it was 100 of everything, dishes, forks, napkins. You guys, this program is really growing and we're really glad that Go Green Glen Ellen has a program. We really can't keep up anymore now with all the groups that want to borrow the dishes. And hopefully we can get more groups to set up programs so they can borrow dishes. Go ahead. The Teacher Institute Day was Friday. People learned about water quality, of course, but we learned about where to take your medicine. The hazardous waste site was a great tour this year for people to understand how things are sorted by acid and bases. The teachers had so much STEM going on in these 3 locations, things they can bring back to their classes as well as to their homes. But the hazardous waste site was particularly of interest because that's something you have that in your own home, or you buy a home and they've left stuff in the garage for you. They didn't really understand the behind the scenes and the amount of work that the folks who work there go through and the amount of training. Because, you know, teachers are always looking for careers for their students. We had a lot of high school teachers with us this day. And so this was really great for them to see the opportunities for jobs for students, as well as what they can do for themselves and for what they can do for their school hazardous waste. Go ahead. And then the design challenge is our 19th. It's coming up April 15th. You guys, we have 2 people applying for internships this summer who were part of the design challenge when they were in high school. So I think that's really cool that they're staying in sustainability for jobs. That's a great connection for us. Go ahead. And so the Earth Flag ceremony, it is going to be April 22nd on Earth Day at Forest Glen School in Glen Ellen. Jacqueline and I have been doing a lot of work there for the Earth Flag. This is a new club, One Earth. It is a year and a half old now, and you guys, these kids have done a tremendous amount. We don't have the exact time yet. I wish we did, but we've asked them for that. But it'll be a really great, these kids have done a lot to earn that Earth Flag. Go ahead. And we're grateful the Sheriff's Department has agreed to a 4th location for syringes, EpiPens, and medicine. So Downers Grove, we're bringing back Downers Grove Recycling Extravaganza. They have not had one, I think, in 10 years. So it's October 4th. We're working with that Greener Grove organizations that we help in Downers Grove. It's got a huge list that we're working on for their, Joy has them set up for paper shredding. So it's really great to bring this back to Downers Grove. That's a big community and they did not have a recycling event like this, so we're grateful. And then these are the events coming up. Lyle Sustainability Saturday is March 15th. It is always cold. It's always sleety. It's always snowy. But it's also about 800 cars in the turnout. Addison is the only town that limits who can come to their events. They have to be Addison residents because they're paying for the TVs and the monitors and those kinds of things. But all the other towns are open to anyone. And we're very excited about the events. I think we have 27 events scheduled for the year already, Saturdays. Go ahead. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Kay. I'm gonna cut off the questions. We've got to move on. And thank you for your presentation. Next, staff reports. The Switch Together Solar. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. So again, we are working with Citizens Utility Board, Midwest Renewable Energy Association, and then the Collier counties on a group buy for solar. So iChooser goes out, they solicit reputable solar firms, and they come up with a group buy pricing, which has saved residents who've installed about, I believe it's 20% on the installation of solar on their homes. To date, we've been doing this for several years and we've had 80 installations over the years. So we're excited again to be offering that project.
Right on to the waste hauler survey.
Yeah, so the waste hauler survey. So this committee and board had passed the ordinance having our waste haulers report to us their commercial, industrial, and residential numbers. So this is the first time we've been able to really get those numbers, which has been fabulous. And now we're going to take it, and this will be influencing our solid waste management plan in the future, now that we have a better handle on what's going on in the commercial sector.
Great, thank you, Joy. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none, anybody have any new business? Seeing none, without objection, we're adjourned.
Thank you.